I had a request for machine tour or something. So I don't know what to do other than, because I think most of y'all have seen all of this stuff already. So we'll just kind of give you a tour of my old shed here, what's in it and what's happening. So we'll start with the combine. Of course, you know we did a bunch of wheel tread adjustment on this thing this summer. Got it to straddle right between the rows for me, so I ain't driving on the rows anymore. Oh, there's my leaf blower I was looking for. But yeah, it's all dirty. We didn't wash anything up. It doesn't really pay to try to polish anything with the dirt floor in here. It just gets all full of dust again. We got the old 4400. I keep that thing well stocked with mothballs. Every so often I come out and throw another bag around on it, in it, over it, under it, everywhere. Just keep those mice away. And also in this one. The corn planter. I want to do something different with the gauge wheel arms this year. Get some new gauge wheel arms, whether I buy John Deere or Shoop again, or there's a man out in Hamlet, Nebraska. These are the gauge wheel arms right here that hold the gauge wheel. These, they get a lot of they end up getting a lot of slop in them. Those bushings, you grease them and they just seem to suck the dirt right in. This is probably worse. Yeah, look at that one. See how shot that is. So that's hard to set your wheel clearance. You want it up like that. But when it's all flopped out like that, you see what it does. And then you can get dirt back behind here and all sorts of junk. And the tires aren't in that good a shape either. That's supposed to have a little better profile than that. So the tires are pretty much shot on here. And the gauge wheel arms. Anyway, like I was saying, there's a guy out in Hamlet, Nebraska that'll take these arms, do away with this bushing, and he'll bore this out in here, and he'll put two bearings in here. A narrow one and then a wide one. So there'll be two bearings in there, and instead of setting your clearances with the bushing, you'll just use some shims, and bam, that's it. You'll never have to grease them. You'll never have to grease them. You'll never have to adjust them again. But gauge wheel arms and tires should be purchased. I may just do the gauge wheel arms and then buy tires next year or something, because they're not cheap. That guy, they're like $70 a piece, so 140 per row to change them, and you got to send him your old ones. So if anybody wants to, if he ever watches this, the guy's out, Coyote Machining out there, if you want to sponsor me, go ahead. Crawl under the sprayer here. The old 7655 spray coupe. I've run this thing since about 2010. This one we bought used. It was 2 years old when we bought it. And we bought a brand new one same year. That was a 2010 model, but it was a 7660. So physically there was nothing different about them. They're the same damn thing. Only difference was age. So this one we bought used, and I started running this one then, 2010, and I had a buddy that was running the 7660. And I bought a new differential for it this spring. So that's a pain in the butt. Actually, it's not that hard to do. It's really easy. 4 bolts in your drive shafts, and that thing comes out, and a tranny jack. It's pretty easy to swap. It's just the paying for it is what's the hard part. See, I got a new switch for this thing to run my electric pump for that planter. Limit switch or whisker switch. I think I'm going to mount it down there on the lift wheel somewhere, so that'll turn my fertilizer pump on when I lower it down. I had trouble with the one I was using last year. It was just some piece of junk I found, and that's probably why it wasn't working, because it was a piece of junk. Somewhere in this baler, I'm getting an issue where I think I'm leaking oil by internally. This is the compression cylinder. That's what makes your bale tight. There's one on each side. Anyway, I usually tie it 68 inches. I could go up to 72, but I tie it at 68-inch diameter because this thing, during the tying process, the bale or these cylinders or something relaxes and the bale diameter increases, even though we're not putting any more hay in there. So by the time I get done tying, it might be a 70, 71-inch bale, even though I've stopped at 68 to tie. And I'm wondering if it's like it's leaking by internally in one of these cylinders. It's either in these cylinders or in that thing. I don't think it's supposed to do that. So something's leaking by internally. I wish I knew how to troubleshoot that. I'm thinking it's in the cylinders, but I don't know anything about that thing in there to why it couldn't be there. So I don't know. One of you that watch this that are smarter can help me out. So hopefully that's explanatory enough, and you know what the problem is. I'm thinking compression cylinders need rebuilt, but I wasn't gonna take it to John Deere because they just start throwing parts at it. They don't sit there and try to figure out what's wrong first. So, all right. Hey, Max, look at you way up there. How'd you get way up there? Huh? Ranch Kitty Max. Huh? You can come down and say hi. All right, later. We can go show you my new feed wagon quick. How about that? We'll jump in. What's another 3 minutes, huh? Of course, you all have seen my hay mover. This is a funny building. Oops, why am I zoomed in so much? This is like a 50 by 20, and I think the doors are 8. So there's not a I think it was kind of a garage, but I don't know. There's not really a lot that I can stick in there other than maybe a barge wagon or something, or maybe a rake or the hay mover. So we got the hay mover in there keeping the tires from getting all weather checked, because you know how hard it is for me to get tires for that thing. All right, we'll go look at the other thing now. Oh, there's the old bean head for the 4400. I stole some guards off of it for this one in a pinch. So here's another obsolete building on this farm. Old corn crib. But there's the feed wagon I just bought. Kind of did a little work on it. Right under the feed our wagon, you see them burn marks. I welded a new floor in there for that chain and a new chain. I think he'd left some feed in there and it rusted because there was all these it was all pitted in there. So I don't think he used it a lot because the hitch isn't hardly wore. If you look at the hitch is nice and round, and there's not enough. I don't think he used it a lot. Can you see that one there? I've actually, had to weld new pieces on the top there because we've just worn the heck off. It's getting all full of snow. Snow's blowing right in here. That'll be nice. Freeze down. A couple bearings. This is a spare wagon. If any of y'all ever been around the Kelly Ryan wagons, you know that when one of these chains go, either the upright chain or the floor. I've only had that floor chain break once. And then we just tip them over, because that's the easiest way to get them empty so you can work on them. But, so that's just a spare in case the other one breaks. Got a backup. It's kind of a job to work on them when they let loose. A little rye in that wagon. Probably the only one that sheds a sickle bar. And a stroller. I got a stroller in there too for some reason. Alright, well, we'll continue this in the other shed. Of course, I got my tractor up here now. 1700, y'all seen that. Here's the old skid loader, the L325. Dad bought this new. It's 40 years old or better. It's actually it's older than I am. So, what's it say? Can you read that? This looks like 6,000. What does it say? 61 is 70 something. It's got a buttload of hours on it. This is the old 4020 power shift. Dad bought this one new in, no, not new. It was just a year or two old when he bought it. Down in southern Nebraska. I don't remember the town, but he drove it home, him and my uncle. Took turns driving it home. It had a year-round cab on it. Front end weights. I don't know what else. The Gator. It's the 7210, the old 4-row. Got the drill over there. Corn head's over in that corner. The old 4-row corn head. 3010. We've had this one since probably about 86, 87 we bought this. I remember it was around Easter time when this one come home. And this, oh well, we're the second owners of it. The guy we got it from bought it new, and it's only come maybe 4 miles away. So it hasn't traveled far. Kelly Ryan, this is another one. This is the one we're using now. Loaded for breakfast. Of course, the 7210, the 400 grinder, generator, the 800. This is what wouldn't fit in the corn bin or the semi. So, that little dad, that's what wouldn't fit. So, of course, the 43, she's got a sore foot here. Corn picker. This is the old Gale cutter, 800 Gale. We used to cut all our silage with that. That was take me a week with this thing, and now the guy comes over and takes 8 rows at a time, and we're done in an afternoon. So we always put it on the 43. And here's Dad's, what is it, a 7040 disc mower, Vermeer? Sitting here. So that's what's in here. That's an 800. I added a spout extension on there, and yeah. Used to use the 1466 on there before we had the 43. It was just a little too much for the 4020. First gear was just, you wouldn't get nothing done. Second gear wasn't much better, but it was a little bit too fast and good corn. So we put a 1466 on there, and that thing would just, you twist the thing in half before you run out of power with it. But it'd use the fuel too. I wouldn't be able to run a whole day without coming home. I'd have to bring it home at dinner time every day, otherwise you'd run out of fuel about 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So here you go. Hope that will work for you. Come do chores.